It's time for our final race of the day. It's the longest race of the weekend, though. It's 2 hours for Tiguera Club Enduro, and we have a big grid of more than 30 cars ready to take the start. On the fourth row of the grid is car number 87, which is Aaron Cook in the Audi RS3 he shares with Dan Sylvester. Anyway, the race is about to get underway. 2 hours for Tiguera Club Enduro. See the red lights go out and racing gets underway then, and a good start from Joel Oswick in the BMW, and Ian Jones further back. Will Stacey tries to block them from behind, but round the outside Bradley Burns I think will grab the lead in the Volkswagen. Stacey impressively is held on to second. Ryan Parkin is third there in the Audi, and the rest of the field still coming up across the line, while the leaders heading down towards the Wilson hairpin. But it was Bradley Burns who leads. Around the outside comes Parkin in the Audi to try and get third place. It's already busy here. It's a 2-hour race, and you'd think that people have got to make sure they get through this first lap okay. And we know from the previous race the track surface is a little bit questionable in places, Marcus.
Yeah, that's right. We're discovering this. They won't have seen very much on that slow formation lap. And there's the 19 car in the pits, one of the Lotuses.
And that's the other Rob Boston run car, the teammate car to Will Stacey that runs in Class B. Peter Mansfield already with issues. As the top two going away, then Bradley Burns and Will Stacey for third. Joel Oswick in the German Autoworks BMW has got past Ryan Parkin, and behind Ian Jones has got the better of the TCR cars in that BMW Compact, so he's got himself up ahead of Mark Grice there in the Seat, and then behind is 87, which is Aaron Cook, the XMR2 champion, in the Audi behind. So that's a good battle pack. Then a big slide there from Cook, then a big gap back to the next pack, which includes the Class B leader and the Championship leader.
19's got away.
Out of the bits for that car, so a quick check over.
Weighing in at just 750 kilos. It's the Lotus 14.
Yeah. 74, that was the car that had problems in qualifying. That's Matt Charrington, the multiple low-cost winner. He's not going to go very much further. That car's for the paddock. There's the top two then. So the lap times in qualifying were mighty. They were 2 seconds under the lap record. So we'll see if we get a new lap record in this race. Stacey did a 2:09, which was exactly a second quicker than Bradley Burns. But a lap time in qualifying, Marcus, doesn't mean that you can do that for 2 hours.
No, that's right. And not with a fairly heavy fuel out to start with.
So across the line comes Brad Burns, the ex-Clio race winner, Clio Cup race winner, who is 1.2 seconds ahead of Will Stacey, so 1 from 48. Third is number 2, Joel Oswick. Up to 4 for 117, Ian Jones, who was so impressive yesterday. Road Sports. 5th is number 6, Ryan Parkin. 6th is 27, Mark Grice. 7th is 87, Aaron Cook. That's a big battle pack heading down towards the hairpin at Wilson. In 8th position is 22, which is Luke Browse. He's the first of the next group. In 9th position is 15, which is Phil Driver, the ex-British GT racer. Then in 10th position is number 40, James Collins, who previously has raced with Nigel Greensill, but he's got a new co-driver this weekend, which is Brett Lidsey, the driver who's had experience in the VLN at the Nürburgring. But the leaders, this lead pack for third position, you've got the BMW M4 of Joel Oswick and the much older car of Ian Jones, so two sort of privately built cars. You've got the touring car built from the VAG factory, the Seat and the Audi, behind Mark Grice and Aaron Cook at the wheel.
Yeah, and Scott Parkin, the B-class leader, running 12th overall ahead of Aussie Dave Griffin. Levitz is second in B95, he's 14th. Third is Chris Plaskett in his Golf. He is 15th ahead of Rose Rose, 16th.
There's Phil Driver, racing the British GT Championship in the Aston Martin a few seasons ago. Racing the Club Enduro though for the last few years, now sharing this car with Colin Gillespie. Here are the BMWs battling. There's Ian Jones, then his 3.2 litre M3 powered compact. It's very sideways through the Nelson, and hopping over the curb there was Aaron Cook at the back of the queue in the Audi. He's chasing the similar underneath parts in the Seat, both VAG family cars there, different bodies on, and Mark Grice ahead of Aaron Cook. But those two are falling away from Ryan Parkin there in the Audi TT, the diesel car ahead. Leaders across the line. It's a new lap record immediately. It's a 2:02.76 for Will Stacey, who was a couple attempts quicker than Bradley Burns ahead. The lap record previously was a 2:03.02, so we're a few attempts underneath that. That lap record was set a few years ago by Chris Boardman in an M3, but we have beaten that today. So there is Will Stacey, so the great big rear diffuser it's got. Rob Boston Racing have worked super hard on this car to upgrade it over the winter. It is massively quick. It won at Croft and Anglesey as well. Will Stacey drives it really well, ex-Lotus champion, raced Mazdas as well, did Will Stacey. These two going away from the pack, Marcus.
Yeah, and that pack led by the German Auto Works BMW, Joel Oswin, privately built the car, and we were hearing how they've managed to pare some weight out of that carbon fibre doors and put a twin turbocharged V8 engine under the bonnet, which is quite something. 3 litre, making a big chunk of power. It's the most powerful car in the field, but therefore it has other kind of sanctions in terms of where it runs in the class. A little bit of smoke came out from the back of the Lotus, but I think that was the edge of the diffuser just touching the ground. It's a little bit of rolling at the ground.
I'd be hoping so, because we've seen smoke of other sorts out of that car in the past. But he's right now with Bradley Burns through that infield. The Lotus Elise is really quick, so he gets on terms with the Area Motorsport, another privately built car, the Volkswagen Golf. I think it's got the rear wing is from the TCR machine. I think otherwise, what Baker was telling me earlier in the year, it's pretty not sure what Area Motorsport have developed themselves. A similar situation really with the Lotus Elise. That's all prepared by Rob Boston Racing. Rob driven the car a bit. Will Stacey owns it, and he's right now on terms with Bradley Burns. So the Golf's got more power. It's heavier though, so getting past it could be a challenge here from Will Stacey. He might have to try something bold. He doesn't need to do that at this stage of the race though. They come through again, and a bit of a slower lap that time from the pair. They've got to lap the other Rob Boston Racing Lotus, the Peter Mansfield car that came late after that pit stop. They will slice past that with no problem. They are about 3 to 4 seconds now ahead of Joel Oswick, who is still there in third position I should say, ahead of Ian Jones, and then Ryan Parkin, and then a little gap back now to Mark Rice and Aaron Cook, who don't seem to be able to live with the pace of the front runners. But these two up front are certainly the fastest two. It'll be interesting to see how the tyres go throughout the distance. Obviously the Golf has got all the power going through the front wheels. So the front wheel's doing all the work, and immediately runs a little bit wide as Bradley Burns and Will Stacey draws up alongside. They're side by side as they come out of Agostino. The Lotus on the inside. Surely Brad Burns is going to have to give way. He does. So just a small mistake there by the looks of it, Marcus. A bit of understeer perhaps, and pay in there through the hairpin, and Will Stacey goes through.
Yeah, it went a bit deep, and there was a little hole, and Will Stacey thought, thank you very much, I'm having that.
Absolutely.
So he went.
Can Bradley Burns fight back down the long straight, which is coming up next? Doesn't look like the Lotus has got as much of a decibit down the straights as it has done perhaps other or in previous years, but it is still certainly not as quick. The Golf is now back alongside as they come up towards the S's, but the Lotus is later on the brakes, and Will Stacey then retains the lead that he gained a couple of corners ago, and we will see if Will Stacey is able to get away, and then if he has got a bit of extra pace, does he use that pace, or does he try just to keep it sort of not 100% to keep the car going for 2 hours?
I think he's very, very keen to just pull ahead and give himself some leeway when he gets to the traffic. So we're only 20 minutes from the Lotus factory here in Snetterton, and this would be a good place to win your third Club Enduro of the year.
Through they go. That battle, a bit of a slower lap, like 6 attempts between them. So on that lap, Oswick was a little quicker than Burns ahead, so he's still 4 seconds behind. Then Ian Jones and Ryan Parkin all involved in that battle for third position, but the lead battle's not over yet because Brad Burns is still right there with Will Stacey. There behind in 6th position, Mark Rice, who's been a winner this year, battling away with Aaron Cook. There he is in the Seat, the Audi behind. Aaron Cook, who's been trying to take various racing. We're on board now with our Class B leader and the championship leader, Scott Parkin, who's in 12th position, into Richie's Marcus.
Yeah, very, very nice. And you can see some minimalist input on the steering. I think everything really trying to use up as much of the brakes or tyres at this point of the race. He's got that big Audi TCR ahead of him, and so I'm quite happy to settle into momentum part of the race. It's still a long way to go. We still have about an hour and 50 to 10 minutes into the race.
He's a couple of seconds ahead of the Luch Levitz Volkswagen Golf. Both those cars have a 30-second penalty because Scott Parkin won at Spa last time out on the away day, and as the Schlevitz and Glover car wasn't there, I believe that car's also got a 30-second penalty for this race because they won at Alton Park in the previous round that they competed in. Both of them are quite a long way clear already of Chris Plaskett's Golf that's there in third position. It's a diesel Golf, this one. Scott Parkin's car, Darkside Developments, the preparers, and the Parkin twin brothers, Brian Parkin in the Audi in fifth position, and Scott there in P12, but in his class are the people behind that business. And it looks like Scott Parkin's going to allow David Griffin to go through. There he goes in the BMW, the more powerful Class A car. Now I noticed coming up behind them was the Mazda, so Alan Henderson is making progress in the MX-5. He's into the top 16 now, so that car is going much better than this morning in qualifying. So we're keeping this shot. There's the little Mazda. I think it's based on a Mazda MX-5 Mark 1, but it's got a Mark 2 engine, an 1800, which is turbocharged. So a similar engine probably into the MEVs that we saw out in the earlier race. So it's just there behind the big Seat.
This is the one that I think broke the drive shaft. That's what they were busy changing prior to going out to qualify.
Okay, so we have been through a few drive shafts over the last week or so. It's going well at the moment. Scott Parkin's got cars all around him, the Class B leader. Let's snap in the Mansfield Lotus. Yeah, that little Mazda, that's quite a development, isn't it, to get a car like that? Probably going about 20 seconds quicker than the original car without the developments would make. And Alan Henderson is really quick. He's won these races before in other cars. So we'll keep an eye on how he gets on. A big battle here. This is just in the background there. That's for third in Class B between Chris Plaskett and Lewis Rhodes. We continue to watch this battle a bit further up, including Alan Henderson. He's chasing after the big Seat there of Phil Knibb. One of the cars from the old one-make Seat series that run in Europe. TCR spec car, but not far off one. So they turn into the hairpin. Class C, that's being led by 66, the BMW of Paul Saviani, who is 0.3 of a second ahead of David Lawrence. So the battle of Class C is pretty close behind this group. You can't see in the other races with these three classes, we find battles in all three of them, although Class A is a much deeper field. It's got a larger grid than the other two, and it could have put together this season. There, this battle for third in Class B continues, including Lewis Rose then in that Honda. Okay, so that's our first track limit warning, isn't it? So that's for the Phil Knibb and Andrew Rath Seat. That's, I think, just got past Scott Parkin, the Class B leader. That's a good battle pack. Lewis Rhodes has gone through. He's got past Chris Plaskett, so into third position goes Lewis Rhodes in this car that he shares with Robert Aaron. 2.4 litre K24 engine. There's Matthew Stockford, who's a Paralympian medal winner in the 1990s. And he's having his first season of car racing this year in a Team Dynamics run car. Team Dynamics sadly lost Steve Neal, who was behind the organisation last month.
Great racer himself, Steve Neal, with minis back in the day, both the Jim Whitehouse and Keith Harden car, and also quite actually go down to the works cars. Steve Farmer and Max Neal.
The Team Dynamics team running that car, Alan James, who's the team manager, will be sharing with Matthew Stockford. So that traffic has begun. Paul Stacey now leads by 3 seconds over Bradley Burns. Now interestingly, where Joel Oswick lost that 3 seconds or so on the first lap to Bradley Burns, he's kept it now at a similar gap. So it's pretty similarly paced now, the front runners, as they get into a rhythm. Stacey and Oswick are solo driven, the other cars in the top 10 will share.
Bright green BMW, the Stowmarket glass car, that's the Brose family, Browse family. That's Luke Browse driving. His dad Paul will take it over later on.
They've just lapped Jamie Naylord. I think that's going to be a possibly with either mares a relay effort. We saw Jamie out in hot hatch earlier, so this will be his first endurance race. We're going to have to get used to cars getting past him on a fairly regular basis. is so Browse is involved in this battle with James Collins, new driver to racing this season. A car that he shared with Nigel Greenstall up till now. Red Lidsey jumps in this weekend, the driver from Kent, who's been a winner in Clio Cup in the past in the UK, and then raced in the VLN more recently, the championship that runs exclusively on the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Experienced driver to get in that car. Will Stacey goes across the line 100th of a second slower than his best lap at 2:02.77. So consistent times now, and he's pulling the gap out 5 seconds over Bradley Burns. Change for 6th there into the hairpin. Aaron Cook has got the better of Mark Wright, and Mark Wright has had a good season. He's very much in championship contention. He's the Class A championship leader, sharing that Seat with Will Beach. They've had a 1st, a 2nd and 5th over the course of the year, but this car now running down in 7th place, seeming not to suit the Snetterton circuit perhaps, but these cars are generally very reliable, Marcus, and that's obviously going to come into its own during the duration.
Yeah, it's a tough circuit on cars here. There's lots of stops and starts, and harsh acceleration. Will expose any weakness in preparation and the underpinnings of these machines. It's great to see such a fantastic variety of cars on track. That Audi there looking absolutely splendid, chased by the 27 machine there, which is Mark Rice.
Just ahead of the Ryan Parkin, trying to get back on terms with Ian Jones. Guys had a little look to the inside of Cook there, but Aaron Cook was able to hang on. But the Class C leaders going up to the first corner, that might be something to pick up on, because they're absolutely together down at turn 1. The battle between 66, which is Paul Saviani, and 56, David Lawrence. Here they are coming out of Ritchie's down towards the hairpin. So this is for the least powerful cars. Nothing separates them again. It's two very different cars. It's a BMW that's powered by a 2.8 litre engine, the BMW Compact, and then the Honda, which is part of the foundation programme that 750 Motor Club with Tagiwa put together for this year. So David Lawrence at the wheel of that one takes a tighter line than Hayes. Paul Saviani's in for the start. He shares with Jonathan Hayes. Here comes the Honda to the inside line for David Lawrence. He brakes later, and he should therefore get the move if he can get the car through the hairpin without a problem. They're soon going to be lapped by the race leaders. That could interfere in that battle, but a good pass there by David Lawrence.
Front is about 6 seconds first to second now. Tussle there with the Collins and Browse battle for 9th place.
I think Collins has got through. That's a change, isn't it?
Yes.
That's just come past us while we've been watching on the TV pictures of that change for the Class C lead, as well as the 22nd position overall. See how far up the order they end the race, the Class C cars. Lawrence defending because Saviani fighting back. They've got the overall leader about to lap them, so Will Stacey's got to get past this safely. They wouldn't have been lapped by anybody yet, so they may not be aware that this little Lotus that will be hard to see in the mirrors, Marcus, is squeezing up the inside.
That's absolutely the point, because that car barely comes up to the waistline on some of the touring cars, and it is very difficult to spot, particularly with low sunlight in some parts of the circuit to contend with as well. But you can see the Honda leaping around at the back there, and BMW the Honda technology sitting there. It's pretty comfortable in the slipstream moment, but there to complete his 9th lap is Will Stacey, who is consistent despite the fact he's got after that. And there goes Saviani in the BMW back past the Honda into Riches. They come coming down towards the hairpin. In 2nd place, Brad Burns, VW Golf, 1-7 coming through. Motorsport car, well developed.
BMW 1999 car, that compact. So probably at least a decade newer. The Honda chasing it, but they can battle it out together here in this championship. Oswick behind, very wide out of Palmer. He's still in 3rd. He's cleared away now from Ian Jones in 4th, who's coming under pressure from Ryan Parkin. But the front guys are running in the... Oh, who's been off? That's 10 that's been off. That's the Little Janetta, driven by Andrew Shepherd. So he's got back on now. Oswick's turn to get amongst the Class C leaders. But yeah, similar pace for now from the front guys, also on the 2s, 4s and 5s as they settle in.
Parkin, Audi, number 6, TT. Parkin, Bricklin now within a tenth of a second with Ian Jones. M3.
So they'll be coming up next to this battle. So that's the first time these two have been passed by a battle of cars. So they sure won't want to be hanging about. Here comes Ian Jones, who pops out of the toe of the Class C cars, gets one of them, gets between Saviani and Lawrence. Similarly livery BMWs, aren't they? Both using versions of the BMW M factory livery. Sort of two sister cars almost, aren't they, with various modifications made to them.
Both compacts, one on steroids.
Absolutely. And so he's got past okay, and I think Ryan Parkin followed him through.
That's the John Oswick, a little bit tweaked up there in the Stanley supported car. Robert Stanley here at Stanley this weekend.
Joel Oswick, just 20 years of age, one of the youngest drivers on the grid from Hertfordshire. This twin turbocharged 6-cylinder S55 B30 engine BMW, a 2016 car.
He's the apprentice at German Motors, isn't it? Which means from the full factory technician program.
This is the battle for 11th. They've all been passed by the Mazda, I think. Henderson is, and Henderson's now, what, a 9th, is he? Because he's got past James Collins. So he is really motoring on now. He's done a 2:05 as Alan Henderson, which would put him right in that lead pack. And he is now, as he comes across the line, in 9th place. This is an excellent drive from Alan Henderson. He's going quicker and quicker. There's the Mazda. And I think we may have lost the Browse BMW, so that's why he's gained another position. That hasn't come through at the end of the lap, but into 9th place. So for Alan Henderson in this Mazda MX-5 that Daniel Irving and his AK group have put together. It's its first race outing. It's been at a few of the other meetings, but hasn't made the start of the race. But it's out there now. It's done 10 laps, and he's worked from the back of the grid up into 9th position, and he's cleared James Collins, immediately pulling away from that BMW. So this is probably his first chance to get a true lap in without having to pass another car. Meanwhile, Bradley Burns there laps a car that he's probably well familiar with. Ex-Clio Cup race winner was Bradley Burns a few seasons ago. He's 22, so again another one of the younger drivers. The driver from Surrey. He's been a podium finisher in the TCR Championship in Germany in the past. But he's had a few years out and now has joined up with Area Motorsport to drive this in-house developed Volkswagen Golf. But he can't live with the pace of Will Stacey, who leads the way in the Lotus Elise now by 9 seconds. Meanwhile, down in the pit lane is the Browse BMW, that M3 that has got problems, and there is a huge amount of work going on at the moment. That's some oil perhaps that they've brought up that need a top up at this stage. Probably some sort of fluid it needs a top up. The lid will open. So they'll try and get that car back out in the race, I'm sure. They've had a consistent season, yet to be in the top 6, so they've been scoring points. Here the Class C leaders, they're still battling for 21st position at the moment. Paul Saviani still ahead of David Lawrence. There's that BMW that leads the C-Class at this stage. The Class B cars are a bit closer now. They're separated by 1.4 seconds, Scott Parkin and Luke Schlavitz. And they come up across the line now. Not the closest they've been. We're right on board then with Scott Parkin. He's got that Janetta to lap as they come up towards Ritchie's corner. He goes to the left side of that, which he then swoops around the outside of without too much drama. The gap now 1.3 seconds between he and Luke Schlavitz in that second Golf. So you've got the diesel powered car ahead of the petrol car. Fastest lap between them was just done actually by Schlavitz, a 2:09.17. in that car that he shares with Kevin Glover. It's a 2-litre TSI powered Mark 7 Volkswagen Golf GTI, which has been built by Jabersport, which is Luke Schlewitz's organisation. They're both drivers that have raced in the Golf One Make Series. There's Scott Parkin ahead, the driver from South Yorkshire, in his 4th season of racing. He won the MSVT series before joining the 750 Motor Club. That's a 2010 Volkswagen Golf, which runs a 2-litre TDI engine, which produces 270 brake horsepower. It's a car that originally ran in the Volkswagen Racing Cup, but Darkside Motorsport have tuned it, turned it into a diesel engined car, and they've done a really good job, Marcus.
Yeah, they do turn out a great car, and there's no shortage of grunt in those, and fingers crossed, it's reliable too.
Yeah, that's right. He's had a super successful season. Scott Parkin's had 2 wins, a 2nd and a 5th within Class B. And that's what's given him this championship lead. He's just got one of the slower Mazdas to lap. That's 333, which is the car started by Mike Cooper. It is his 1st season of racing.
The big Mazda has broken by the looks of things. Unfortunately, Henderson crawling around for him. What a shame, because that car has been flying.
Yeah, just did a 2:04 on the previous lap, so it's about the 5th or 6th quickest car. But I wonder if that's another drive shaft it's gone. I've been told it's run pretty much on standard, on a standard drive shaft, and I wonder if there's a bit too much power going through the car.
Get some more made in unobtainium, that works well.
But great to see it here. It's the first time it's raced. I'm sure the team will look at it and see if it's something they can get going again, because it's all good data, isn't it, to learn about what it's like in a race condition. But yeah, that car's for the pit lane then. Real shame, but it's great to see it here. It run for 11 more laps than it has done before. Will Stacey leads by 11 seconds now, so he's consistently a 2nd a lap quicker than Bradley Burns, who's in 2nd place. 3rd is Joel Oswick, 4th is Ian Jones, 5th is Ryan Parkin, 6th is Aaron Cook, and through again goes Will Stacey to complete 13 laps. Class B, that's being led by that man there on your screen, number 89, Scott Parkin. He leads by 1.2 seconds over Luke Schlewitz. A very similar pace, these two Volkswagens. There's the Mazda in the pits, and the AK Motorsport car then come to a halt. Henderson staying at the wheel at the moment. They've got the computer out. It's not the drive shaft. And is it getting ready to go again? Or is it going into garage? No, I think it's going to go again, Marcus.
Just gone into a little mode of some description, so
light system when it's on the pit speed limiter.
it looks great in that colour we're familiar with from the US racing with the sports car club in America.
So he's back on the road. He's dropped to where 20th position.
This will be a kind of extended test session, won't it, for the car?
Yeah, if it now runs smoothly, I think we'll get results out of it as well.
It looks absolutely fabulous.
And this is what club racing's all about, isn't it? Developing cars. And this rule set, which is very open, allows for that.
Yeah, not necessarily sort of spending huge money on buying a factory car, but actually testing your engineers' ingenuity to produce something which is competitive.
It's certainly running quicker than it was in the pits. As you say, it might have gone into some sort of limpo mode. So it's getting past the Class C battle, which now has Paul Saviani quite a bit further ahead of David Lawrence than he was earlier. Stacey goes through. It's on a pretty quick lap again at 2:03. That pace is not relenting. There's novice driver Jamie Naylard, who's in a relay with Ivor Mares. They're running in 28th position at this stage. Ivor Mares for BMW just sitting in the pit lane, waiting. There's that Mazda back up to speed. well. Into the top 10, just behind, is the Seat. He started from the very back, Phil Nib and Andrew Rass. Seat lay on Euro Cup. It's done what, Cho 7 is their best. They're now basically where their pace should be, just ahead of David Griffin, who's second behind James Collins.
Andrew Rath was a Lotus.
Phil Nibs, he's had bike sport, both radical bike sport before, and a few other bits and pieces.
Matthew Stockford's still got nicely in 12th with TCR Audi.
Yeah, they've had a pretty decent season with his teammate Alan James. They've had a 6th, I think, over the course of the season.
Yeah, they've run a couple of times at Castle Coombe as well in things like the Dave Allen Memorial race.
Now the MX-5 that's just gone a lap down is interesting, number 100. If we can watch that, that'll be good, because that's Matt Simonite having his first outing. This car is running on carbon neutral synthetic fuels. The fuel system in ECU is unmodified from the OEM manufacturer, so they've literally just dropped in this fuel which reduces the CO2 emissions without modifying the car, and is potentially a way forward thinking club racing. I think at Goodwood, the Revival, there's a Porsche race this year which is going to be on synthetic fuel.
You've had vintage Bentleys running on it as well. There's various suppliers doing things slightly differently, but the vintage Bentleys run and they makes no difference on the power, no difference on the engine wear. You don't have to change anything.
It's just getting hold of it, isn't it?
Porsches as well are doing GT racing. And I know that ATL have been very busy making lots of fuel tanks to suit the slightly different composition of the fuel.
So it's great to have that here on the grid. A potentially important thing going forward. So Matt Simonite, the driver from Derbyshire, racing the MX-5 Championship in the past. It's a 2007 car.
The Simonites used to be kings and queens of off-road racing. Jack Simonite.
That's a question later on for Matt, but this is his first outing in Club Enduro. How's he getting on? He's in 27th, he's done a 2:23, I think, is his best lap.
He made a really fine effort to get out of the way there, which is a little bit unnecessary, but I think he tried to evaporate as the BMW and the Seat dived on into Brundle.
These nice car, the MX-5 Mark III. I had to go in a month or so ago. Pretty friendly, I think, to the driver. They've got a decent amount of power, much more power than the Mark I Mazda.
This is heralding you're on track next year?
I doubt it. But maybe have another go at some point.
Never say never.
Always good to have your first go in, I'm sure. When you did many years ago, Marcus, once you've had that first go.
1981.
So that's Matt Simonite then, who I think has gone a lap down to class leader in that group. We watch that car again. E1 fuels, power in that car. Meanwhile, the race still being led by 10 seconds, so it's now sort of staying at that. Yeah, Matt is pretty helpful to the other drivers getting past, isn't he? So I think he hasn't done it. They're saying that David Lawrence is slowing. The driver who leads the Class C Championship then is slowing. He was second in the class in this race, but David Lawrence, who's had a couple of wins this season, is in drama. And is he going to be able to carry on? So if we can have a look in the background, there he is. The pit window, by the way, is now open. We're half an hour into the race. I don't think we've had any early... Oh, Joel Oswick, is he in? Joel Oswick has come in immediately then. So he is our first pit visit. I presume that is just on strategy. You're not allowed to pit in the safety car anymore, in the safety car periods. And yeah, they're refueling the car. So they must think they can do sort of an hour and 25 on fuel to get it home. But yeah, new rule for this season, if you haven't seen Club Enduro this year, is that they cannot, Jamie Naylor stopped as well, they cannot pit during a safety car period. So that has opened the strategy up a little bit. We saw a lot of people pitting always under the safety car. This has made it much more interesting, I think. Now, is David Lawrence going to get the car back to the pit lane? He's desperately trying to do so. To score points, he needs to do 50% of the race distance. So So that'll be what is the aim at this point. That's certainly limping at very much a reduced speed. Marcus, meanwhile the pit stop ongoing. Joel also getting out of the car while it was refueled. He's taking on some of his own fluids as well, getting back into the car now. And
it's a twin turbocharged straight six after the morning.
Stanley back in, we were talking about earlier. I guess when you're not the quickest car, you have to sort of take a punt, don't you? If you think you've got enough fuel to get to the end, see what happens by making an early pit stop. So a 3-minute pit stop, that'll put you a lap down. There's Lawrence, still slowly making his way back to the pit. The championship leader is in as well. 89 Scott Parkin has come in at a pretty early opportunity. So he's got that 30-second pit stop penalty. That promotes Luke Slavitz to the class lead. Now, last lap, Bradley Burns in a 2.8 in the Gulf. However, that was particularly bad traffic. Let's get Parkin's done an 8. Jones has done a 10. The lap times in that lap were significantly slower than we've been seeing. Although Aaron Cook is better on a 6. So that's interesting. Burns, Parkin, Jones, all doing much slower lap times than that last lap. It could all be traffic, but 5-6 seconds is quite a big chunk. David Lawrence is going to make it back as he's at the final corner now. So this is opened up the Class C battle. Particularly put Paul Sabiani and Johnny Hayes into a good position. They're the new class leaders. Second is Mike Cooper, and in third position is Andy Shepherd. Race still being led by Will Stacey by 14 seconds from Bradley Burns. Third is Ryan Parkins with 48.1 from 6. Fourth is 117 Ian Jones. And that's a change, isn't it? Ryan Parkins got past Ian Jones on that last lap.
Yeah.
So the Audi TT is up to third. Fifth is 87 Aaron Cook. Sixth is 27 Mark Rice. Seventh is 15 Phil Driver. Eighth is 40 James Collins. Ninth is 92 Phil Knibb. And 10th is 134 David Griffin. There's David Lawrence, and he's made it back into the pit lane. Rob Baker, the area motorsport boss, on hand. He'll be getting into the front-running car, #1 championship defending car later. Joel Oswick returns to the circuit after his pit stop, and the Mazda stopped again, this time on the circuit. So the Mazda MX-5 of Alan Henderson has come to a total halt this time. It's well off the track, but whether that's going to get back going, we'll see. Joel Oswick 19th when he rejoined.
Yes, that's the completion of the lap he was on, wasn't it? With the cave in, that's what dropped him down.
So we're seeing how far he rises back up when the others stop. Alan Henderson, before that Mazda stopped again, he did a 2.06, so it was lapping quickly before that. 117 for the pit lane, that's Ian Jones. So a pretty early pit stop for that car. Martin Gadsby, the car owner, will drive it next. Something I don't think we really saw at the races I saw earlier in the season at Croft and Anglesey. Quite early pit stops happening here. There's David Griffin, the Australian, in the Bathurst replica car.
Yep, car up by Suffolk Racing.
Going well, he's in 10th place. One of the solo drivers. We've got David Griffin do a few races in this championship over the last few years. And he will come through to complete another lap. Lap 18. Minutes 8.5 is the latest tour of the circuit. Matthew Stockford is in, we 10th place now because of the Ian Jones pit stop. Then the Class B leader just behind, Luke Slavitz in his Golf. And then the next car through is Joel Oswick, who is just ahead of the race leader Will Stacey. So Joel Oswick is trying here not to go 2 laps down, I think. which could be massively important if we did get an interruption to the race. So I would imagine Joel Oswald will try and fight this. He's on a heavy tank, the car is sliding around on the brakes. There into the hairpin. So an interesting moment there. Chris Plaskett desperate there to get out of the way of his teammate car. As Bradley Burns laps him, he darted to the inside of the circuit to let him through. So it's 13 seconds, Burns is behind the leader, and then another 10 back to Ryan Parkin. Down in the pit lane is Chris Stevens. Let's see who he's found.
Yeah, I'm down in the pit lane with Jay Delgado from the German Autoworks team. Jay, you boys in third place before the stop. How did it all go?
Yeah, I mean, the start went really well. We held position. We thought we might get eaten up a little bit from the front-wheel drive cars behind, but Joel's doing a fantastic job out there. I think this championship is absolutely fantastic. The competition in front is so close, and we try so hard to stay up. So to be up there, to be battling, what more can you want? Quick shout out actually to the sponsors, Stanley, who's here with us, and the guys from America who are actually probably watching this from America right now. Hello. Thank you for all your help. Without sponsorship, we couldn't be here, so thank you very much.
Obviously, it's been a big project for this season, a new car. How has it developed since the start of the season?
It's a completely different car. We started off with a big, heavy pig of a car, to be honest, and now we've got this semi-lightweight, nimble car. We've lost over 100 kilos from what we had at the start of the season. We've also lost power, but that's brought the reliability in that we really need. So, yeah, we're all on a big development streak across this. It's a bit like F1 really, but on a budget. All these teams are trying so hard to get up the grid, so it's fantastic. We love it.
How long until that first overall win then, do you reckon?
Again?
How long until that first overall win?
Oh, please. It's teasing me. We've got a third, we've got a second. Who knows, maybe today, anything can happen. And that's the thing, you've just got to be in it to win it. So, we're out there, we'll see what happens.
Top man, thanks for chatting to us. Good luck for the rest of the race. Guys, let's go back upstairs.
Thanks, Chris.
Great to hear from Joe Delgado there. Bicycle House is the American sponsor, Stanley Handling, British one. So going very nicely with his apprentice, Oswald, driving an essential phase of the race. Some of the lead cars obviously haven't come in yet to serve their pit stops. They won't come in another 20 minutes or so, something like that. And it's all shaping up very interestingly. Josh.
Yeah, Ian Jones pitted to hand over to Martin Gadsby, and they come out ahead of Joel Oswick, so that is a change in the stops. Assuming that was a regulation stop that the Jones and Gadsby pairing have had there, so they've come out in 17th position under and as our leading pit stopper. I watched David Griffin on the screen.
Love the camber on the negative camera on that front suspension.
That was right in the era of car, was right when Super Touring was at its pomp, wasn't it? That car been raced by the likes of Joe Winklehawk, who won the championship, and Tim Harvey.
That's I reckon one of the Aussie cars.
Yeah,
because David is Australian.
That's right. Yeah. So at that time, I think in Australia you had sort of two competition series. You had the VX Supercars and then the Super Touring Car Championship. So there was actually two versions of the Bathurst 1000 one year, I think.
And there was a car that ran with Morris Suramet.
Right.
The original. This is a tribute.
Yeah. So up across the line comes Oswick.
Stacey's just gone through and has slapped his teammate again.
So he has lapped Oswick, because when we thought Oswick come out, he was ahead of Stacey. Now Stacey moved ahead. And wondering where Martin Gadsby came. Now, Oswick's transponder stopped working, I think. That's what's confusing me. He has not been registered since 17 laps.
Okay, but he was behind the blue Lotus, the VW Lotus on the track. So
Yes.
no, he is
So he's been dropped to 24th on the screen, so that's something the timekeepers are going to have to work out. Because for some reason, since the pit stop, Joel Oswick's car has stopped being timed, so therefore the transponder, I think, has stopped working.
There's our Lithuanian racer, is Vitalis Deperas.
Yeah, he lives in Ipswich, so he's actually quite a local driver.
I just recognised the Lithuanian flag.
Absolutely. And this car is one of the foundation cars that 750 Club put together. So basically, you've got the car, you've got the new driver, you've got your race gear, and then full season of entry fees, all in one package. And that's what Vitas Papirius has done. He's a transport manager.
Presumably for Jaguar Hornet on the side of the car.
Yeah, I think so. Wouldn't
Pick up the model themselves there.
So good to have him out there. He's had a couple of thirds this year within Class C. That's good to see. So that car's in the pits. There's Bradley Burns, who's now 12 seconds behind Will Stacey. Now there's Gadsby, so he's still going. He is in 17th. And there's Ryan Parkin, he's third in the Audi TT. He's 12 seconds behind Burns, so a similar gap from Stacey to Burns back to Parkin. Across the line comes Matthew Stockford, he's 10th. There's the leader behind him, so Will Stacey's about to lap the 10th place car for the first time. They drove 5 on that lap, quite a bit of traffic to deal with, I think. Will Stacey driving really well, as he has done all season. Done some racing, I think, in a few other categories, but concentrating on this championship. It's a mighty battle we had at Croft. We had 6 cars battling in the opening round of the season, which was a great way to start it out.
One of my favourite races, I think, last year was the Croft race. It was just fantastic.
Something about that venue that seems to work well for this, this championship.
At the end of every lap, you've got that that tight section of track which really closes people up, a little bit like Murray's here, but a technical part.
Yeah, and that's what we heard from the German Autoworks guys with the car was more powerful earlier in the year. Gerald Osborne would get a huge slide down to the hairpin, would rocket past Will Stacey into Clairvaux, and then Will Stacey would have to fight back past the rest of the lap. The cracking race, that one. Anglesey was a bit of a problematic race. I think we had like 5 safety cars, so that wasn't great. It's a failure for Griffin.
Broken. That's smoking very badly.
So while Dave Griffin is, I think, for the pit lane, let's hear from Chris Stevens, who's in the pits.
Well, David Lawrence, it was a strong start, it seemed, but it seems like you're not going much farther.
Yeah, I was me in first place. The guy in the BMW was battling really hard. I let a couple of Class A cars come past and it sort of felt like it was down on power a little bit, and then engine management light come on and started going to limp mode, and I was like, just got nervous back to the pits and hopefully clear it and get it sorted. Now I scanned it, it's a throttle body, so we're just trying to get it swapped over and see if we can get back out.
It seems like maybe a low point. It was otherwise been a very successful season for you.
Yeah, and all I've literally done is put tyres on it and put fuel in it, and it's not missed a beat. So for this to happen, it's the first sort of mechanical failure on the car. So it's about to have happened. I've done quite a few laps in it, so yeah, it's a bit shame really, but we'll try and get back out.
Once you're in one of the foundation cars, just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the foundation car come about, and I seen it, and it was a good price for the Club Enduro, and it was all spec'd out, fully built, ready to go. Just basically put fuel in. So I was like, oh, I fancy a bit of that, and I wanted to do a bit more long distance driving, so 2 hours each race seems to be it's good, it's challenging, because it comes into, with all the pit stops and stuff like that, so it all comes into consideration, so it's really good.
Great, well, hopefully you have better luck next time out, and your car left quite a bit of fluid on the ground there as well.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of coolant, because the throttle body is coolant, so yeah, I think they're just going to quickly change that and get me back out. Hopefully I can maybe get a few points.
We hope so too, and all the best for the rest of the season as well. David, thanks for chatting to us. Guys, let's go back upstairs.
Thanks, Chris. So what David Lawrence needs to do is do 50% of the race winner's distance to be classified as a finisher, and therefore will score points within Class C. Really important stuff for the long-term part of the championship. Dave Griffin, who we saw earlier, he's made it back into the pits. I'm not sure if we'll see that BMW again after That was clearly smoking pretty heavily. We've done 23 laps, 48. Will Stacey leads by 11 seconds from Brad Burns in 1. In third is number 6, Ryan Parkin, who's there in third position on your screens now. In fourth is 87, Aaron Cook. Fifth is 27, Mark Rice. Sixth is 92 from the back of the grid, Phil Knibb. In seventh is 40, James Collins. Eighth is 15, Phil Dryborough. Ninth is 78, Matthew Stockford. And 10th, the Class B leader, number 95, Luke Schlavitz. And we ride on board with Ryan Parkin. We can see him at work. Can't really see much of the circuit from that angle, but up the gearbox he goes and across the line to complete 24 laps. That was a 2 minute 6.2 for Ryan Parkin. He's got one of the Clios to lap just ahead.
This car running in the old Advan Yokohama Formula 3 race team colours we used to see on like Tommy Burton's Formula 3 cars back in the day, back in the 1980s.
Yeah, that's a car livery. I think it's been on a few sports cars.
Certainly it's been on some cars in Japan. It's been on things like Blue Craft Specials and Grand Champion Series.
And, so this is Ryan Parkin, who is 33. He's from Barnsley in South Yorkshire. Like his twin brother, he'd been racing for 4 years. I think last year he competed in the Spa 25 hours, the Fun Cup race at that circuit. This is a 2017 Audi TT. It's front-wheel drive. It's got a 2-litre TDI diesel engine. Like the sister car that his brother's driving, this car was originally racing the Volkswagen Racing Cup and has been converted to have the diesel engine. And goes well. Both the Parkin brothers drive really well in their various cars. Good to have this Audi TT, another different type of car on the grid, Mark.
Yeah, I always like Paul with his getting excited about XR2s. I had an Audi TT. My wife drove it most of the time, and it was just super. I really liked it. Then the kids got it.
Yeah.
Didn't like sitting in the back.
Not much room, actually.
There is no.
So there is Parkin then. Accelerates towards the end of 25 laps, coming up to half distance. Will Stacey's just crossed the line as the leader. Chris Plaskett, one of the front runners in Class C, is in. He's a 32-year-old from Surrey. This is a 2-litre Volkswagen Golf GTI petrol car, prepared by Area Motorsport. So this is basically the type of car that Bradley Burns is in, which is with a smaller turbocharger.
And many years ago, when I was in my teens, I went to school with his aunt, Martine Plaskett.
Really?
I did. As I discovered at Croft last year.
Small world, isn't it?
That's it.
So that car in the pits, that's going to be challenging for Class B. It's the first of the cars, I think, that doesn't have a pit stop penalty within that class, so that could bring Plaskett into contention. Success penalty for previous races.
Michael Mayer's taking another 100 miles on his BMW on the racetrack.
He's 26. He's just done a personal best lap last time out at 2 minutes 26.7.
Great character out of him there. Forced to that. His relative youth.
Order with Parkin then in this Audi, goes down a gear into second and left. I think he's an Agostini, he is. So through the hairpin, then up a gear into third and fourth before Hamilton, the left-hander. This is a quick corner. As Marcus was describing with his brother earlier, it's very small inputs into the steering wheel, isn't it? Keeping it smooth.
And you don't want to impose any greater loads on the tyres than you have to, particularly at this stage in a race with a little more than half of its duration still to go. Now it's 6 minutes remaining. Top.
Third gear through Williams. Now we're on the back straight. It's up to fifth. Get into sixth gear. We are into top gear then before we get down into the S's, into Brundle and Nelson under the bridge. Down a gear into fifth. And 2 gears into fourth through the left-hander. And then I think go down another gear, I should think, into third for the right-hander. Yeah, he was down into third for Williams. And accelerates up a gear into fourth through the right-hander at Cromwell. You get another gear, yeah, up into fifth before into Coram. Now this is this really long right-hander that gets slower as the corner goes on. Come out the throttle, then brake. You think go down 2 gears, then into Murray's, and then go back up the gearbox to the line. Well, it's another lap for Ryan Parkin.
Little Gilles is in the top 10 now. Tim Marshall Webster.
He won't accelerate to the line because he's in for the pit stops. So he is into the pits. But yeah, the Ginetta of Tim Marshall Webster, the second place car in class B into the top 10 lines. Back into the 202 for Will Stacey, so as the car gets lighter.
Here's the number 6 Parkin and Brichter. This is Ryan Parkin. Was in third place, but now been pit stop where Jack's operated.
And so before they can refuel it, Ryan has to get out. Everything has to be shut on. They've got a fan to cool the engine at the front. So when they refuel it, nobody can touch the car. They've got new tyres ready, so on this, the front tyres take, especially when these front-wheel drive cars take a hammer in round here. They're going to, that's why they're pitted in the middle. So each set of front tyres only have to do an hour. So they've got to try and do all this in 3 minutes. If you're going into that car that was running in third, so that promotes Aaron Cook to third and Mark Rice to fourth.
Stacey hasn't stopped yet. Brad Burns hasn't stopped yet. Cook Rice yet to stop, but in terms of the top 4 yet to stop.
Not really sure what's going on with the Joel Oswick car, because I don't think it was a particularly longer pit stop. I think they had a transponder issue, but it started working again because he's done more laps, but I'm not sure if he's in the position he should be, shown in 23rd. So that's going to be a headache, I think, for Terry Stevens on the opposite side of the track for us. So I suspect the team will be chatting to the officials about that to see if they could get some laps reinstated. David Lawrence is back out again, so that is, I think, well within time if the car runs now. That new throttle body he was going, that's really good. That's a pretty good job there by the team.
Very much so.
So he's rejoined in 28th position. So it's about a 20-minute pit stop, so it does that in about 20 minutes, which is a good effort at this level.
People get the local dealer to do that.
How much would they charge? So great job there. I think the area motorsport crew were a team at work there. We've got quite a lot of cars in this championship. So he is continuing. Will Stacey leads now by 14 seconds. So it's a small enough gap that the pit stops could change this, couldn't it? Because neither of the front two cars have a pit stop penalty, but doing this pit stop in 3 minutes, particularly if they're going to change tyres as well, is quite a mission. It's not necessarily guaranteed that that can be done in that time frame. Tyres currently being changed on the Darkside car down there in the pit lane. So Ryan Parkin out of the car, back to hear from him, and he'll be handed over to Dylan Brichter.
They're changing all 4 of us to front.
Definitely the front, and the front-wheel drive car, so I'd imagine that would be all. It does have a 30-second success penalty for the win at Spa last time out. So it'll be a slightly longer pit stop, which makes it more possible to do the tyre change. And Chris Stevens is down there, I think, in the pits.
I've come down to Capture Motorsport to have a chat with Phil Driver, who just got out of the number 15 Saya. How's it going out there?
It's hot. There's a bit of shade today, but it's still hot in the car. I think everybody's more or less in the position they started in, so it's a bit of a trail. We got helped a wee bit at the beginning, so I was kind of low in the second half of the race, but the first half of my session was good fun.
We were just marvelling about the fact that we haven't had a safety car yet as well.
And that's quite amazing after the last rounds, no safety cars, which would have suited us a bit today to close the gap when we got held up at the beginning. But we've come in a bit earlier than probably everybody else. Colin's probably got 2 or 3 tenths on me, so we stuck him in the car to do a longer second stint and see where that takes us.
Of course, you guys were the runners-up in the A class last year. You're second in the A class at the moment as well. And what do you think you can do for the rest of the season?
We are, but you know, we're probably the 4th or 5th quickest outfit. We recognise that, but our determination is that we'll always finish. A simple mantra: we'll try and qualify top 10. We aim for top 5, and then with a bit of good fortune, we can get a podium. And we've had a few podiums, so yeah, that's what we'll do.
Well, good luck with that. And of course, right on cue almost, the sister car's just come in as well, number 27.
I think they're running 4th in the road just now, so they should have a good result today as well.
Keep an eager eye on them. Thanks for chatting to us, Phil. Guys, let's go back to you.
Thanks, Chris. Full driver there with Chris, ex-British GT racer, now enjoying his club racing with with his fellow Scotsman, Phil Driver. We'll see how they get on over the course of the season. They have had a second, a couple of thirds, as he was saying, they have had a few podiums over the course of the year. We're halfway in, there's an hour gone, there's an hour to go, and there is our race leader, Will Stacey. He's 14 seconds ahead of Brad Burns now. It's a Rob Boston Racing run Lotus Elise. And it makes its way to the end of 29 laps of the race. Is he going to pit in here at half distance? No, he's going to do a longer first stint by the looks of it. Solo driver, so they don't need to worry so much about how long his driver is going to run and do whatever's best for strategy. A 2:03.4, so consistently quick is Will Stacey in this car, Marcus.
Yeah, 2:02s, 2:03s, and that's what it's all about. The car's reliable. You can just keep pounding in those laps. The time comes down, and with luck, the race will come to you.
Class B still being led by Luke Slovitz. He hasn't pitted yet. And Class C is being led now, I think, by the 333 car. That might be started by Mike Cooper. There's the Class B leader then.
Yeah, Slovitz and his Golf.
That's the Jabba Sport crew that Luke is behind that team. So the GTI Golf. Through Ritchie's corner he goes. He's in 5th place now because of others pitting. He's at a 2:09.6 on that last lap, a race best of a 2:08.3, which is only a couple of seconds off of the lap record held by Brian Chandler here from a few seasons ago. Scott Parkin, by the way, ahead of Chris Plaskett. Both cars have made pit stops in that, so I think it's going to be Parkin versus the car we just saw. The Class C leader is for the pit lane, so that's Mike Cooper. He will hand over to Thomas Stedman, the driver from Warwick, in that 2009 Mazda MX-5 Mark III. So that car makes its way down the pit, so that will promote Paul Saviani and Jonathan Hayes into the lead, I should think. They've made their pit stop already. Out of the pit, so they go now actually, so they've just completed their pit stop, the 66 crew. There's Ivor Mears. He's in 25th. I think Jamie Nailard had a problem with his Mini, so therefore Ivor Mears, I think, a few laps behind the class leaders. Stacey again in the freeze, a 2:03.45. Bradley Burns is with Joel Oswick on the road. He's just gone across the line. So a couple of the quick cars together. 16.8 seconds, the lead gap between the top two.
It's just inching out, isn't it, all the while, every lap, a few tenths here.
It's going to be all about those pit stops. It'll be so important. We've got our first track limit penalty. Car number 20 gets a 5-second penalty, and that's for Lithuanian Vitas Papirius. It's taken a while to get to that point. There's fuel going into the Mazda. Great club racing car. Easily, there's hundreds of Mazda MX-5s that race in the UK.
I remember being in the States and they were racing them for the first time, and they were, of course, they're called Mazda Miatas over there, M-I-A-T-A, Miata. You don't really say the T in there. There's
a massively popular Mazda MX-5 Championship in America. We'll come back to that because there's a big problem for one of our front runners, Dylan Brichter, in the Audi TT that he shares with Brian Parkin. He's coming to a halt coming out of Agostini. The dash has gone, so I wonder if the engine has cut out. Well, it's come back on now, the dash, as he refires the car up. The dashboard quickly went 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st gear, so I'm not sure if that's just the reset process, which Dylan Brichter is trying to go through at the moment. So it's back into 1st gear. Now it's gone off again, so he's turned it back off. So I think he's trying to reset the car. And it's back on again, and it's back off. Great to have this onboard coverage of this car. And it's back on again, so the dashboard has come back to life. So he's cycling the electronics of the car, I think. We're got pit-to-car radio in this championship, so I imagine the Darkside crew will be talking him through what to do. So it's quite a lot of vibe. I think he's got going, has he not? Hard to tell from the onboard.
He's sitting safely behind the barrier, isn't he? He's parked it somewhere.
Last shot, it almost looked like he was on the track, but I'm not sure. Perhaps if we can get the outside shot again, we'll get an idea where the car is. Well, I think it's moving. It's vibrating badly, but it is moving. So he's turning his way, I think, through.
Yep, you can see one or two things happening in the mirrors. Yeah, here he goes.
Yeah, it's on the grass now, isn't it? So it's got it off the road. It's moving though extremely slowly. So he has got it into a safe position now, but can he get it back to the pits? So that's another contender gone, isn't it, from a good result. It was running inside the top 10 after its pit stop, but for Dylan Brichter, a problem there. Of pretty significant proportions. They were the winners in Class A last time out at Spa-Francorchamps, where they marshalled out one that let Dylan know where to go. He was on the wrong side of the circuit, really, in the middle of the infield. And they won't want him to get stuck there, will they? They won't want to let Dylan be stuck on the inside of a corner for a long time. So if he gets to Magostini, he can get back into the paddock on the right turn, so I'm sure that's what the marshal will be telling him. The Cup car, the Clio Cup car's in the pits. Chris Byalon, who shares with 177, isn't it, that car? Chris Byalon, who he raced an M3 in the championship for a little bit.
Piranha Racing.
It's been a few years now since we've had Clio Cup cars having their own one-make series in the country. It's a long time after the Toka package. I think this is the Generation 4 car. Simon Mason is about to get into the race. Now there, so Richter has parked it up into the gap between the barriers. I think that is the day done then for the car that won at Spa, which was a race that ran slightly to a different format. It was 2 100-minute races with the racing times combined.
Oswick is being shown back in 5th place in the number 2 car.
That's good. Great job there by the timekeepers to get that back filtered in.
Weissenhouse, Stanley handling in the M4.
Behind Mark Brysonville Beach, who have also made their pit stop.
Yeah, by about 12 seconds.
And ahead of the Sylvester and Cook car, so potentially a good pit stop there for the Bryson Beach team. Oh yes, so this is all getting quite significant now. Brad Burns has carried on. One churn of fuel has gone into the Lotus. Does it need a second? Don't think so. There's Will Stacey with the white helmet and a chat to the crew. Oh, now engine cover comes off. And we have seen this before. They top up the fluids on the car.
What does he have in the way of penalties?
Does not. He didn't do Spa, he retired at Oldham Park, Will Stacey. Won the first 2 rounds. No penalty either for Baker and Burns. Yeah, at Oldham Park, they topped the car up with fluid. The engine light was on red for the whole second half of the race, but it lasted. I suspect they're topping it up with fluids again here. But can they do that in that 3-minute pit stop time? There is our new race leader then. So that is Bradley Burns in his first race, I think in the UK for Club Enduro. He raced at Spa. Well, I don't think they did. I think they broke in qualifying actually. So it might be Bradley Burns' first race at Club Enduro. He's a 22-year-old from Surrey. He won races in the 2018 Clio Cup here in the UK. He finished 5th in the championship. I think Paul Rivette won the championship that year, which is a huge surprise. Paul raced in it running. Bradley Burns right in the championship contention that season. It's great to have him here in this championship. And did he come through or has he come into the pit lane? Come through.
33 laps. So
3 minutes 5.9. Oh, it had a huge slide. He had a huge slide going through Ritchie's there. So I wonder if the tyres are starting to go off now on that car. He saved the slide though and continues. Alan James has taken over from Matthew Stockford, heads out in the Audi RS3.
Bradley Burns did a couple of historic races
did he?
a few years ago. To Portimao.
I think he did a bit of racing in Europe, so that makes sense.
Yes, that's right.
Still only 22 years of age, so one of the younger drivers on the grid. John Osborne's a little bit younger though. Now, is Will Stacey going to get out ahead of Will Beach? And he's on his way, so I think he is. He's going to be our leading pit stopper. He's going to rejoin in second. Away he goes. Now you can see on your screen, out of the pits comes Will Stacey. A good pit stop there, I think. And therefore he's a long way clear, as he should be really, of Will Beach, who is third. Fourth is Joel Oswick, is 10 seconds behind Beach and chasing. In fifth is 87, Dan Sylvester, out in another car, his third car of the day. In sixth position is 15, which is Phil Driver. In seventh position, 117, Martin Gadsby. In eighth position is 92, which is Andrew Raff. In ninth position is 40, which is Brett Lindsay, who's taken over from James Collins. And then in 10th position is 95, which is Luke Slovitz, who's handed over to Kevin Glover. And I think Kevin Glover may well have come out the pits in the lead. That's just happened, so we'll see as they come through on the next lap. But there is Will Stacey, our leading pit stopper, in second position at the moment, waiting for the area Gulf to pit, and then that's all going to work its way out. Stacey is 50 seconds ahead of Will Beach, who is being caught by Joel Oswick. So a battle for third position on the cards, I think. That is 7 seconds on the last lap. Oswick was 3 seconds quicker than the Seat ahead of him. But Class B leaders have gone through. They're both pitted. Kevin Glover is 5 seconds ahead of Scott Parkin. So that is a change in the pit stop period. Parkin was ahead in the early stages. It's now Kevin Glover who's taken over from Luke Slovitz. That's 95 being chased by 89. So 95 versus 89 in Class B. We're here in the Rose Civic, which was also in contention with Class B, has retired with a problem. So that is the Lewis and Aaron Rose car. You can see on your screen now the Schumacher RacingCars.com packed car. Unfortunately out of the race. I think it's steaming a little bit, and the bonnet open on that car, and that looks to be out of contention, which is a shame. Now, is the Gulf into the pits, I wondered. There's David Lawrence, who's still going. Who's leading Class C? 66 in 18th position is Johnny Hayes, who's taken over from Paul Saviani. He leads Class C. Second in that class is Triple Three, which is the Mike Cooper and Thomas Stedman Masman. And the car on your screen now is third in Class C, which is 10, which is Rob Fenwick, who shares with Andy Shepherd. So, there's a leader, so it's still out there, hasn't pitted yet, I don't think. Matt Burns, still going. So, we sort of saw this when Cole Swift drove with Rob Baker, didn't we? They do a long stint at the start. And then Rob Baker would take over for the end. Will Stacey's made his pit stop, and the Rob Boston Racing team, I think, are downstairs with Chris Stevens.
Down at Rob Boston Racing with engineer Mike. I mean, your boy's been doing a pretty good job so far.
He's managing it so far, yeah. Doing well. Hopefully keep it up.
Yeah, then we're yet to see the number one in, but looks good out there for now.
For now, we had some problems in quali. We had to do a head gasket, unfortunately, again. But seems to be holding up strong for the minute. I don't know where he's come out now after the pit stop, but yeah, going for the win, hopefully.
And you're pretty busy this weekend. You're on double duty, or maybe even triple duty, because you're running a second car and you might even be driving it.
Possibly. Peter's going to try and go the full 2 hours himself. He's never done it before, but I'm here. I did quali with him, and if he can't make it, I'll jump in and maybe do the last 20 minutes if needed.
So with Will's car, any worries for those last few laps?
All strong. Bring it home, that's all it is.
Good man, well, good luck to you. Go, guys, let's go back upstairs.
Thanks, Chris. There's the leader, or the leading pit stopper, Will Stacey. We just heard there from Mike Stanford, I think, who's potentially going to drive with Peter Mansfield in the 19 car. First lap on a full tank for Will Stacey at 2:04.71. There is a 3-lap penalty for 177 that Chris Boyallon and Simon Mason Clio, and a 3 lap penalty is for making a pit stop of less than 3 minutes. So that's a big error from that team because they've probably only gained a few seconds, but they've been given a 3 lap penalty, which is going to put them out of any significant result.
It's always better to err on the side of caution, aren't you, in these with these really draconian penalties, which are designed to deter. Clearly do.
Yes, I don't think I've ever seen one of those in these races, somebody making that mistake. We saw the pit stop, didn't we? And obviously they went a bit early. So there is Stacey. He continues to lead in 48, or second place for lead of the pit stoppers. He's still 50 seconds ahead of Will Beach, who is still 7 ahead of Joel Oswick. So Joel Oswick hasn't really closed it to Will Beach since we last looked at that gap. Class B leaders, the gap is 4.7 seconds between Kevin Glover and Scott Parkin. Parkin was half a second quicker on that last lap.
Yeah, Oswick gained half a second. But there's been a warning flag out for Scott Parkin.
And now for 40, which is Brett Lindsay having his Club Enduro debut. And James Collins' BMW. Class B leaders across the line. The gap now comes down by another 3 tenths of a second, so that's now 4.5 seconds, I think, between Kevin Glover and Scott Parkin, who's got that driving standards warning flag overhanging his race. So that is going to be quite a chase, isn't it, in Class B?
Under 45 minutes to go.
So there's Alan James, who's aboard the Audi RS3 now. Matthew Stockford started. Alan James, a 42-year-old team manager from Wales. Massively experienced driver, racing the Preventic International Series for 12 and 24-hour races. So it's 2-hour races are a real sprint in comparison. The Team Dynamics Racing prepared Audi RS3. There's Martin Gadsby, who's taken over from Ian Jones. They are 7th, so they're going well in that 3.2 litre BMW compact. Gadsby is 8 seconds ahead of Brett Lidsey, and Lidsey is chasing. So if you look in the background, not the next car, but the one after that is Brett Lidsey. So he is chasing after this man, Martin Gadsby. Lidsey, the 32-year-old from Kent, who's been racing BMWs at the Nürburgring on the Nordschleife, in the NLS, the BLN International Endurance Series. And before that, he raced Clios in Europe and the UK. And he is chasing this man, Martin Gadsby. They come down towards Agostini. There goes Boswick across the line. He's got another 4 tenths to Beach, so that seems to be sort of around that is the difference.
6.4.
That gap is going to come down to nothing before the end, because there is a long way to go. Yeah, 42 minutes. There is Brett Lidsey then in that car that he shares with James Collins. Brett Lidsey, pretty experienced driver. Quite a wide open circuit compared to the Nürburgring Nordschleife that he's been racing on over the last few seasons. I'm sure that's a track you've driven, Marcus, at all. Nürburgring.
Only a road car.
Yeah. Into the pits is the leader, so this is the important moment then. So Brad Burns is in to hand over to team boss Rob Baker. Second churn of fuel going in. So Stacey's done 35 laps, on lap 36. The Baker and Burns car will complete 37 when it goes out of the pit lane. So there goes Stacey onto the same lap. The gap was 3 minutes and 14 seconds. The pit stop is 3 minutes. The transit time, probably about 14 seconds, you might wonder. So it should be pretty close, I would think, if they can get this pit stop done in the time. And I wonder if they will change tyres like we saw in some of the others. Rob Baker standing by just behind our graphics, timing graphics. Fuel in. Rob Baker then opens the door. Is that a tyre ready to go on? Yeah, the wheel guns come out, so they're changing the front tyres then on the Golf.
Spoiler on the front, isn't it? Patio. Plastic flamingo on it. Party around it when you get home.
Tyre off. See, they're treaded tyres are used in this championship. It's in pretty good condition, doesn't it? Now. The wheel isn't quite sitting as the mechanic would like it to. I think it's okay now. They've got 5 raw More nuts to go on. Where is Will Stacey? And then in the Lotus, let's see if we can pick him up around the track on how close this is going to be when they come out. Stacey's last lap was a Troy 4.3, so pretty quick. Some tyre change going on in the pit lane. Class B leaders, by the way, about to come across the line. That gap is probably similar to what it would if we had a car off. That's Papirias in that Class C Honda. And a 5-second penalty for Scott Parkin. The championship leader is getting a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. Here's
Stacey in Coram.
Tyre change is still going on, so I think Stacey, as we would expect, should reclaim the lead. So here he comes, out of the final corner. He's about to put a lap on Colin Gillespie, who's 6th. There's the penalty board going out for the Class B man, Scott Parkin, but Will Stacey there takes the lead of the race, retakes the lead after 37 laps. So therefore, for Rob Baker, this tyre change, that wheel that was not going on, is not going on still. So this is a real drama then for the Area Motorsport team. The wheel will not go on. Here it is. We've got a view of it now, Marcus. Now it perhaps it's working. No, it's still not seating right.
Sitting probably on the lugs.
And this is the risk where you take a tyre change. The pit stop's done. Is he going to come back out in second? I think in the background, Martin Gadsby's back in the pit, so the BMW compact that was running well is coming for a second stop, obviously a problem. But there goes Rob Baker, he's 44 seconds behind. So that pit stop was at least half a minute longer than it needed to be. There's Stacey, best part of half a lap up the road. Coming down towards Oggies, still trying to put a lap on the Seat, which is almost double the size and height, isn't it? Lotus.
It's all about being patient.
So
I guess there's a radio contact into him and says, "You're okay, you're ahead again." Yeah, been a problem with him leaving, sure.
So the order then after the pit stops, it's 48, Will Stacey leading. In second is 1, Rob Baker, who's taken over from Bradley Burns. Third is 27, which is Will Beach, who's taken over from Mark Bryce, who's being caught by the man in 4th place. That's car number 2, which is Joel Oswick. In 5th is 87, which is Dan Sylvester, who's taken over from Aaron Cook. 6th, about to go a lap down, is 15, which is Colin Gillespie, who took over from Phil Driver. In 7th is 40, which is Brett Lidsey, who's taken over from David Collins. In 8th is 92, which is Andrew Rapp, who's taken over from Phil Nibb. In 9th is the Class B leader, which is 95, which is Kevin Glover, who's taken over from Luke Slovitz. And 10th is 89, Scott Parkin, the championship leader, who's got a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. There goes Stacey across the line. He's still not cleared the Seat. So this could have been a problem if the pit stop for the Golf was more successful than it was. So we saw Bradley Burns get out, but that slower pit stop has cost them a lot of time. Chris Stevens is down there in their garage.
Bradley Burns just jumped out of the #1 Area Motorsport car. It was a very lengthy stint for you.
Yeah, it was a long one. Kind of couldn't keep up with the first line, then it just carried on going. Tyres just getting off. Got past the BM, a couple laps to the end, and tyres were totally destroyed. So just no point carrying on going. Come in, let Rob put a new set on, but unfortunately we had a problem with the spigot greases. But we'll see how I don't know where he is now, but hopefully he can put his head down and carry on.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a slightly less than optimal stop for you.
Yeah, we were running these wide, the tyres now and a different grip, so it's just been a bit of a pain to get on, as you've seen there. But hopefully, crack his head down and get going.
Obviously, this car's had an awful lot of work done to it since it pretty much debuted at the beginning of the season, but you're a newer element to it, so how do you fit into the team?
Yeah, it's been right. We did a couple of test days and then we went to Spa, but unfortunately on the engine, so we couldn't race. And then just come straight here, we did the first day test and got used to the car now. It's all good, the car is all dialed in, no problems at all, so it's good fun to drive.
You think Rob can maybe put a bit of pressure on Will towards the end of this race?
Hopefully he can put his head down and get past him. Well, I don't know where he is now, but yeah, hopefully he can do well.
Alright, good luck. Thanks for chatting to us. Let's go back upstairs.
Thanks, Chris. So there was Bradley Burns describing that problem they had in that pit stop, and that means they are now 45 seconds behind the race leader, Will Stacey. There is Rob Baker with new front tyres on, so he'll have a bit more grip. But I wonder if that extra grip, Marcus, is going to sort of outset the penalty they sort of gave themselves with that longer pit stop.
Speaker rings. That's what it is. You heard from Frank Burns. And yeah, well, got fresh tyres, but Lotus is much lighter on its tyres.
Bit in a real drive car count that as well, shouldn't it?
You can put a lot of power through the front wheels of the Golf.
I think Rob said it was like 380 brake horsepower. He told me earlier in the year. So yeah,
it's the most powerful of the Golfs out there, Golf derivatives.
There he comes. He's definitely pushing on.
Which is why it runs in the A-Class.
Yeah, absolutely right. So he comes up across the line. Will Stacey's finally cleared the Seat, so he's back on it. The gap then, 45 seconds. They're both lapping in the fives. There's Peter Mansfield in the second Rob Boston racing car. So he's out of that one. He is running 17th, but we'll down the order now. I think it's a mandatory pit stop. The gap third to fourth that we've been monitoring is, 5 seconds between Will Beach and Joel Oswick. A slightly slower last lap from Oswick. He has been catching up until that point.
It's about 5 seconds down. You're going to trip over traffic from time to time, or you could sort of have a clean exit from a series of corners.
10-second penalty for car 20, so that's more track limits. It had 5, we had 10 onto that to make a 15-second penalty for car 20, so that's a bit off Peperias. He gets another track limit, so I think it'll be a drive-through penalty. He is running in 22nd and 4th in Class C. There's been a change of second in that class though since we last looked, because Rob Fenwick has got the Ginetta ahead of Thomas Stedman in the Mazda MX-5, so change of second in Class C recently. Here are the Class B leaders, nose to tail. So Kevin Glover has been caught by Scott Parkin. If Parkin didn't have this penalty for track limits earlier in the race, that it would be a truer battle than it is. But if Parkin gets past, he's still got time to pull a 5-second gap out. So the petrol engine car of Kevin Glover leading Class B. Kevin, the 34-year-old firefighter from Lincolnshire, is ahead. Massively experienced Volkswagen Golf driver. 15 years he's been racing these types of cars. He's twice a Truck Day Championship class champion. He's racing the Brit Car 24 Hours in the past as well. And he is ahead then of the championship leader at the moment, Scott Parkin. They're battling for 9th and 10th overall. They're getting past Jamie Naylard's Mini that's back in the race. Ivan Mayers, I think, run out of fuel, so he's come in and they've relayed back to the Mini. Through goes Parkin. The only Darkside car left. We lost the Audi earlier on. There is Peter Mansfield's Lotus, refueled, ready to go again. For the last half hour. Counted down. 3 minutes is up, so away that car will go back into the race. He will join in something like 18th position, I think. So Class B battle very much up for grabs. 3rd position overall up for grabs too. Oh, Gadsby's back out in the compact. He's just lapping those Class B cars. Or trying to pass them. He's not going to lap them. He's behind them now. He's in 14. I wonder if Ian Jones has got back in it, because he's going in the 205s on that last lap. So that might be the case. Martin Gadsby's sort of done long enough in the car that he wanted to. And Ian Jones is going to get back in to finish. And Parkin there almost drew up alongside the leading car of the class. Is alongside, but no, round the outside of the slower Lotus goes Kevin Glover. The Class B leaders, the petrol-powered Golf ahead of the diesel machine. different ideas on the rear wings as well. I think the Glover car's got probably a little bit more standard rear wing, and then the more racing spec for parking. But
the parking car's an earlier era of Golf, isn't it? It was like a Golf 5 or something like that. So real lights.
The Glover is a Mark 7 parking car. I think Mark 6 got 2010.
5 to 6. 5's had a really suspension, which they dropped. It was too expensive to produce.
Right. Great to have that battle then between those two different types of car. Next penalty going out is for number 92. That's another track limit 5-second penalty for Phil Nab and Andrew Raff. Down to Brundle. Parkin has a look. I guess he's got to get on with this a little bit because he knows he's got to pull out that 5-second gap, so he can't wait too long. There's not much to separate these two cars. The Jabber Golf that's ahead missed the first couple of meetings, started at Alton Park and won immediately, and then missed Spa. I guess it's perhaps a little toe in the water experiment, ready for a full championship campaign next season. See how many class victories they can get on the way. Glover pushing on, stays ahead. The fastest lap between these two cars are separated by 0.04 of a second, so massively similar. A 5-second penalty for the car in third place now, 27. The Mark Grice and now Will Beach car is getting a 5-second penalty, and they are basically 4.9 seconds ahead of Joel Oswick. So it's a shame we're going to have these races not necessarily on the circuit for positions, but
half an hour to go, just under.
These track commit penalties is not immune in this championship compared to the others around the country. So there is Glover, and he's behind. The change has happened. Scott Parkin has got a head on the road for the Class B lead. Down towards Agostini he comes. He's defending, but really what he needs to do over those next 28 minutes of the race is pull out a 5-second margin. We shall see if he has the pace to do that. These Golfs, particularly in Class B, very popular. Top 3 cars all Golfs with Chris Plaskett. Only half a minute behind in third. And Williams onto the Bentley straight they come. The toe is Glover. One with that lower rear spoiler, whether that's a little bit more effective through the air. Really make too much progress. I guess the petrol and diesel power bands will be a bit different as well.
Yeah, the diesel much lower revving, but more torque. The wings will work very well. Even the standard bit works quite well at the moment. You can see how much dirt accrues on the rear stream. That area of low pressure is high pressure over it. It sucks the low pressure up front.
Through to complete their 41st lap of the race. The leader has done 42 in Class A. Well, it's actually 43 because that's Stacey behind them.
Irrespective of the penalty for the Grice and Beach car, Oswald has got a little closer with about.
Yeah, that's right. So they were going to back on the road there. And Oswick's, I think, on a warning, isn't he? So he exceeds track limits again. They're both on the same penalty.
It's 4.28 seconds.
Right, and then that Class B lead gap on the road is 0.6 of a second. So Parkin now going to try and pull clear. Paul Stacey has done 43 laps. Goes across the line, flashing his lights. Chris Plaskett, who's third in Class B. A 32-year-old car dealer from Surrey. There's our Class C leader. So that's Johnny Hayes, the 54-year-old from Shrewsbury. 5 years of racing experience, finished second in the Class C Championship last year. His car's a 1999 BMW Compact with around the 2.8 litre engine. It's got it's basically a compact cup car, but it's got a bigger engine, it's got bigger brakes, more stronger differential as well. It's prepared by CRM technology. And interestingly, he's right with David Lawrence on the circuit, who would have been involved in that battle had he not had those issues earlier. David Lawrence is just trying to score points, while Johnny Hayes is going for a class win. And he's just completed 39 laps. And a little way behind, second in the class is Rob Fenwick. Janetta is putting clear of Thomas Edmonds' Mazda, who is in third. There's the Janetta that's fourth in Class B, that's the Chris Webster car. And then the Mazda behind, that's the car that I just mentioned, which is second in Class C. Class B cars across the line. Parkin was 100th quicker than Kevin Glover, so the pace between them is massively similar. So I guess what Glover needs to do is just keep with him without exceeding track limits. Easier said than done. But he's been pretty good at doing that up to now. But Kevin Glover, who is second on the road, his teammate Luke Slavich, I think, down in the pit lane with Chris.
I'm down at the Motorsport garage with Luke Schlewitz. Luke, your boy's involved in a pretty intense fight for the Class B lead, but of course Scott's got a 5-second penalty. Do you reckon you can hang on to him?
Hopefully, yeah. We're just having a bit of a driving issue at the moment, which is driving round. That we've kind of said to him he's got a 5-second penalty, so as long as we can stick on the back of him, we should be okay.
Otherwise, it's been a good race for you guys so far. I mean, obviously both of you guys had to take 30-second success penalties today.
Yeah, it's been straightforward really. The first stint was just about managing the tyres, keeping in contact with Scott, obviously, trying to build a gap with the rest of the Class B cars and then see what we can do with when he come in, which was why I sort of turned it on and produced some fast lap times when he come in to get a bit of a gap from him.
So Scott and Darkside Developments proved to be a pretty formidable force, not just for the B class, but for the overall championship as well. What have you got to do to take the fight?
I think we just need to keep finishing races. We obviously missed the first 2 rounds because we wanted to do Spa, so we're into a bit of a budget, so it's kind of miss those 2 and use those as drop rounds. So every round that we do now, we've got to make sure it's right, which is why I tried to go for the fastest lap in Class B as well to get that extra point. It's just try to maximise what we can out of it, really.
Good luck. We look forward to seeing how that pans out. Thanks for chatting to us. Well, guys, let's go back upstairs.
Thanks, Chris. Good to hear there from Luke, who raced an M3 in the early days of Club Enduro. Good to have him back. And there his car goes, like to play, across the line. And on that lap, half a second quicker with Parkin. So the gap's out to over a second on the road. So that's just under 4 in the corrected times at this point. It's always easier to chase, isn't it, Marcus? So it's not a bad place to be behind.
Absolutely, yeah. Not for anything else, the person who are chasing tends to open the gaps in traffic. They see one coming, then probably prepare for others.
The gap between Mark Grice and Joel Oswick, 4.3 seconds. So it's hovering around that 5-second margin, which Whitwell Beach has as a penalty to be added to the end of his race. Continue to watch the Class B cars. They're on the infield section. Just over 20 minutes of the race to go. Completed 45 laps. So we're coming up to 150 miles of racing.
Yeah, and the leaders are lapping 205, 205, 205, 205, regular as clockwork. Joel Oswick now 4 seconds adrift of the third car.
Peter Mansell is from the pits in his Lotus Elise. He's dropping down the order. See if he goes back out, or whether I think he's going to go back out, isn't he? He'll be able to get to the checkered flag. Well, Stacey, his teammate, goes across the line. complete 46 laps in the 4s that time, so a little bit quicker than he had been doing, perhaps because he didn't have traffic to go that bit quicker. In the battle for third, Joel Oswick is getting a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits, so it's no longer important enough to keep within that 5 seconds to Will Beach. He's got to get past him on the road. And we saw that Oswick had that warning flag earlier.
So both of those cars subject to that 5-second track limit penalty.
A lot of laps to do, isn't it, without running wide that many times. So that be interesting if Joel Oswick can pick his pace up now, because he's been hovering around 4 seconds. Whether he can pick the pace up and actually catch him on the road. There's Alan James, who's 11th. And now what's happened here? Because there's Kevin Glover, who was a slow last lap at 2:11, and Scott Parkin.
Yes, he's dropped a long way back, hasn't he?
That must be more than 5 seconds.
You heard that Luke Levitt said that he was driving around the problem. The problem has come to bite, I think.
So it wasn't 5 seconds at the line, but I suspect it's 5 seconds now. So it looks like Scott Parkin would have reclaimed the Class B lead. He's had a second, a third, a fifth so far this season, has Scott Parkin. Is it going to be another win today? There's Martin Gadsby, now possibly Ian Jones back in. Their car, that's 14th. Behind them is the race leader, Will Stacey. He's 46 seconds ahead of Rob Baker now. Great big rear wing on that car. Big rear diffuser. I think it's got an underfloor aerodynamics as well. And through he goes to complete 47 laps. 2:05.16 that time for Stacey. There goes Parkin, leading Class B on the road by how far now? A long way. You can see that was a 2:13 for Glover, and the gap is 8 seconds. So Scott Parkin now takes the lead on corrected times in Class B, ahead of Kevin Glover. There he is then, Scott Parkin, championship leader by 15 points coming into this weekend. There's 2 rounds to go after this at Donington Park and at Silverstone on the Grand Prix circuit to complete the season. And you count 5 of your 7 scores. So this is going to put Scott Parkin in a very good place heading to Donington Park in the championship. Down into the hairpin at Agostini. Comes in 89, caught a big cloud of dust ahead. The car just sticks a wheel and a tyre out over the dirt there. Easy to do on a quick corner like Hamilton. Named after the 7-time Formula 1 world champion. Williams this corner, another fake motorsport name. Multiple Formula 1 manufacturer's champion, of course. And then the Bentley Straight, which is more of a sports car brand, isn't it? Multiple Le Mans victories. Great to have my route British Motorsport, great corner names to talk about rather than
Brundle and Nelson there. Those are big people rather than Nelson.
I think it is Lord Nelson, which I think it is for the county. That
He
one.
didn't race it though, did he?
No, did he not?
No, he didn't race it. Whoa, it's a big slide for the BMW.
Is that the Sabiani car?
Yes.
So that's our RC leader by about 1 minute and 45. They've got a big class lead. But they're still pushing on. That lap last time round was a 2:18.3. Best lap of a 2:16.5. Parkin's got a load of traffic to deal with. The drive-through penalty board being prepared for car 20, I think. That's Vitos Tiberias, the Lithuanian. We mentioned that he was exceeding track limits. If he did it one more, he'd get a drive-through penalty. That is what's coming up now. 97 is in. That is the Lotus Elise this weekend, driven by Daniel Jude and Mike Rayner. Mike Rayner from the wheel, Dan Jude there, they're working on the car. This car was driven earlier in the season by Magdalena King and Amy Riley, a couple of female racers, but this weekend it's Mike Rayner that's having a go. There's Parkin, the Class B leader, by 7.7 seconds now. So Glover's picked his pace back up, back on par with Parkins. I wonder if it was a mistake, perhaps due to that problem, which is difficult to drive around. Now Joel Osborne's catching Mark Grice, isn't he, for third? So now that since he's had that penalty, he has picked his pace up. He was a second quicker than Mark Grice on the last lap. The gap was 1.6 seconds. That is a battle to try and pick up on for third position. 27, which is Will Beach at the wheel now, and 2, Joel Oswick. A battle on the road for a podium here. And they are working lap 49 of the race. Watching on our screens, Scott Parkin, Class B leader. He's been caught on the road by Alan James for 9th place overall.
Yep, we've now got the leader on to his 50th lap. Will Stacey.
209 last time for the leader. Cautious in traffic. You can see the black flag, the drive-through penalty board going out. As the leader goes through, there's the Lotus that is going.
That's Alan James has just passed Scott Parkin for 9th place, going up towards Rich's corner.
A bit more power in the Class A car. Gap between Parkin and Glover has come down by 4 tenths on that lap, so it's now 6.4 seconds. So Glover could well still grab the Class B win yet. Right, coming up to Murray's, the final corner is that battle for third place. Will Beach in the Seat. Has he been caught by Joel Oswick anymore on this lap? About the same, I would think. So up across the line, the battle for third and fourth in the race. The Seat of Will Beach is now just over a second ahead of Joel Oswick, who turns into Ritchie's, the first corner.
Oswick brakes at exactly the same point as the guys who got ahead of him.
On the opposite side of the circuit.
1.04.
Opposite side of the circuit, Scott Parkin continues on with this lead, which on corrected times is just 2 seconds over Kevin Glover. The battle for third place is at Agostini, is it? No, just coming down towards Agostini now, turn 4. Just gone out of shot, just past, as the Seat and the BMW, just behind them on the road, the Mini of Jamie Naylard. But yeah, Oswick's a bit closer now, so as they go through, there he is on the screen now, 27, that's Will Beach, who's in third position in the Capture Motorsport Seat, the Class A Championship leaders. They've had a first, a second and a fifth. That's their best results this year. But just behind is Joel Oswick in the German Autoworks BMW. Joel Oswick, another slow lap for Stacey, 2:10. And there's smoke coming from the leading car, so is this the head gasket problem for Will Stacey? He's done, an hour and 48 minutes, he's done 150 miles, but the Lotus may not be going for much longer. So we've got that ongoing, we've got the battle between Will Stacey to look out for.
12 minutes to go.
Yeah, can it keep going for that long? Can he limp it home at this speed? Because he leads by 37 seconds. He's been caught by 5 seconds a lap at the moment. So we've got a real endurance chase going on.
6 laps in this race.
Will the car last that long?
I don't think it will.
It's done a 10-second penalty now for 92, by the way. So that's Phil Nibb and Andrew Raff. So that adds to their 5 from earlier for the track limits.
Can't even risk getting past the little Janetta. Much smoke in his face.
Battle for third into the turn 1. Joel Oswick's going around the outside of Will Beach. They're almost side by side, but the Seat stayed ahead. So through the first corner they go. The gap across the line was 3 tenths of a second. Here they come down towards the hairpin. Oswick's on the grass. He's back on the road again, trying to get past the Seat ahead of him then, of Joel Oswick. The race has come alive, hasn't it, with less than 15 minutes to go. Out of the hairpin they come. Joel Oswick has a little bit more power than the Seat, and he draws up alongside. He can't quite get there. So Beach turns through the corner ahead, and this Williams Motor Company back Seat. Joel Oswick behind then. Joel, who's had a second and a third this season, to the outside into the hairpin marks.
Yeah, looking for the cutback. Out of Agostini. There he goes. There are a couple of cars ahead of him. One is the red Honda. That's the Honda, the Lithuanian team.
There's huge smoke coming from Stacey's car now.
That's really bad now. That's Finito.
He's opened the door, I think, to get some air in.
It's coming from the front corner, seems to be smoking as well. So maybe it's more than one problem. He's coming into the pits, and yeah, that's a massive problem. It's the Rads, I guess, struggling as well with the head gasket.
Yeah, assuming that's the issue.
It probably is. It's been the recurrent drama, hasn't it?
And there, I think we shall shoot across the line. Bradley Burns takes the lead in the Area Motorsport, or Rob Baker now takes the lead in the car that he shares with Bradley Burns. The Area Motorsport Volkswagen Golf leads, I think, for the first time in Club Enduro in the final stages of the race. Can they get the car home over the next 5 laps? 5 laps to go. Oh, as Beach goes wide, Oswick's a bit further behind. So has Joel Oswick got a problem now as well? If we stay with this shot, where's the BMW gone? It's not coming through. Is Joel Oswick for the pit lane as well? I think he might be. So we've had 2 of the potential podium finishers both have issues at the same point of the race. So there in the pit lane is the Lotus with a problem. The car steaming well from that part of the car, Marcus. So I think that's it. Is that the head gasket gone, we think? But where is Joel?
There's Oswick.
No, so he's limping across the line massively slowly.
He's in limbo, isn't he?
Looks that way.
So they're trying to do the last 8 minutes to go.
It happened at this point at Anglesey as well. It went at this speed and then the car stopped. So they thought they could make it a bit more reliable with less power, but it's exactly the same thing's happened. Mark Grice is getting a 10-second penalty. It's all going on, isn't it? Ian Jones and Martin Gadsby for the pit lane, yeah. If it was a 1 hour 45 minute race, none of this would have happened. But 2 hours, it seems like, for a few cars, a few minutes too long. So yeah, Grice and Beach are getting a further 10-second penalty, so that'll make it 15. They're far enough ahead of Oswick, who's limping, and Dan Sylvester and Aaron Cook for the podium, possibly in the Audi. Oh, it's Janetta way off. Now, is this possibly on the fluid from the Lotus?
It may well be, because the fluid won't be just water. It'll have some kind of coolant in it as well.
So that was Rob Fenwick off. Oh, pretty broken the front right corner on the BMW, the Jones and Gadsby car. And they kicked the wheel and it moved a lot further than it should do. So I think that's the front right corner gone on that car. Cancel again just to demonstrate that it definitely is broken. So the leader is now number 1. Oh, we've got a black flag for 20. Now is that the next track limit for Papirios, and he's going to be called in and have a word with the clerk of the course, I think. So right, we've got 7 minutes to go. The leader is 1, which is Rob Baker. Second is 27, Mark Grice. Is number 2 still going in 3rd place? That was slow across the line last time for Joel Oswick. 4th is 87, which is Dan Sylvester. 5th is 40, Brett Lindsay. In 6th is 15, Colin Gillespie. 7th is 92, Phil Neal. And Alan James, I think, will be up to 8th. There is the leader then, Rob Baker, the 3-time champion. He's won the last 3 championships this year. It's going to be a much harder feat to achieve that in a new car for this year. The Class B leaders are 5.7 seconds apart. Scott Parkin to Kevin Glover. Remember, Scott Parkin has a 5-second penalty, so that is very much on the Class B win. There is Oswick. He's only made it to Agostini, so it's taken a good couple of minutes for him to get through 4 corners. So he might get the car back to the pit lane, but you do score points in the championship if you complete 50%, even if you don't finish taking the checkered flag. So still score points, but obviously the podium was on there. It's not going to happen. For Dan Sylvester then, he's into third. I think we've only got 3 cars on the lead lap now because of those problems with the front runners. There's the BMW, it's still moving, but it's dropping down the order. Brett Lidsley's still on the lead lap, so we've got 4 on the lead lap in 40, the M3. In the car James Collins started. That car's into 4th. So the order now quite different to what it was in the first half of the race, with his problems now.
Certainly the order behind. I mean, the Baker and Burns area Motorsport Golf is now on 5 minutes from the checkered flag. Put the hex on it. Certainly seems to be going very well.
Class B lead gap went up by 6 tenths on that lap. 6.3 seconds now, with something like 3 laps to go. That's, I think, where any on the road dramas could come. Obviously had the mechanical dramas, they may not be the last ones. And Will Stacey, out of the car, is down in the pit lane, I think, with Chris Stevens.
Will Stacey, I mean, racing can be so cruel. What happened?
I think earlier on we had a head gasket go about midway, so I saw the temperature shoot up, and then sometime previously it's run for ages with the head gasket gone, and it was going on alright, and then I think a few laps before we stopped, had coolant all over the tyres, and then from that point I think the engine went, because we had oil coming out, and it got to the point it just died in the end. Crawled back to the pits really.
I mean, there was an absolute masterclass up until that point. Good 46 seconds clear. You know, this is, yeah, it must be a really hard one to swallow.
Yeah, I mean, whenever it works, we're very quick. So I knew all I had to do was sort of get a clean first few laps, get past the Golf, and just sort of gradually put the laps in. Because I knew that they were quick at quali, fairly quick. Well, obviously they were all fresh tyres and everything, so that helped them. Whereas we can do that pace on older tyres. So it's quick round here, and just had to be consistent and not do anything crazy. But unfortunately, the car didn't quite make it.
You're remaining fantastically composed on what must be a very frustrating day, but we have a few more rounds left. I'm sure you'll get them next time.
Yeah, we've got a couple more left. I think we're now got to the point where we run out of drop scores, so we want anywhere in the championship. I don't know how it will work in other people's positions because all of them we've done, we've either won or not DNF'd. So. Maybe we have a chance, we'll see how it pans out.
Hard luck, mate, but yeah, get them next time. Guys, let's go back up to you. So it looks like the number 2 is about to come in as well.
Yeah, Joel Oswick has not made it. He has stopped on the back straight, so Joel Oswick's not going to take the checkered flag either. There's just under 3 minutes of the race to go, and Rob Baker is working lap 55 of the race, and he leads by 48 seconds over Will Beach, who did a slow lap last time, at 2 minutes 14 with his car in second position. But a decent gap, I think, he has over Dan Sylvester, although there is a 15-second penalty overhanging the second place car. So we can't afford to do that lap time for the last 2 laps of the race, I think we've got. And the penultimate lap is Baker, so it's going to be a 56-lap race. So there goes Sylvester. He is 30 seconds behind Grice, but that comes down to 15 on corrected times. There's our Class B leader, Scott Parkin. He is now 7 ahead of Kevin Glover, so the last couple of laps have pulled that gap back out, so that on corrected times is just over 2 seconds.
And he's 8th overall now.
Yeah, so
Scott Parkin, 89.
It's a pass, obviously, Oswick and Stacey, both held at similar times. Low on the road as well is 88, which is limping home. That's Joe Williams, who is 14th, trying to get it to the flag. Certainly quite a few cars. It does feel like an endurance race, doesn't it, this last 15 minutes?
Does.
Well, the checkered flag's gone out, so I think we're running out of time here. The checkered flag has gone out then to our race winners. Congratulations to Area Motorsports. Bradley Burns and Rob Baker win a 55-lap race. That's 165 miles of Snetterton. Congratulations to them. A great race. Great to have no interruptions. It could play out in true form over the 2-hour period. Now it is Will Beach still going at a good enough speed to come home second. And then we'll look forward to our class winners as well, taking the flag.
Gillespie and Driver cars has got through in 5th place.
Here comes Will Beach, the Class A Championship leaders, Mark Rice and Will Beach. They will take 2nd place. Yeah, better last lap that, so that will guarantee 2nd place for that pairing. 50 seconds behind on the road of the Gulf. And here's the Class C winner up across the line. That's Johnny Hayes with Paul Sabiani. The BMW Compact wins in Class B. For the first time this season.
16th overall, Sabiani and Hayes.
There's Dan Sylvester across the line to finish 3rd with Aaron Cook in the Audi. At the results then of our final race. The winner was number 1, which was Rob Baker and Bradley Burns. By 50 seconds from 27, Mark Rice and Will Beach. 3rd was 87, Dan Sylvester and Aaron Cook.